So without a doubt, premium boots are probably one of the highest debated topics when it comes to dirt bike apparel. Everybody kind of has, you know, their favorite boot, whether it's for construction purposes, durability, feeling the foot pegs, fit, comfort, all those different things. So we thought, you know what? Let's do a premium boot shootout, just like they do the bike shootouts. So we've got the Alpinestars Tech 10, the Fox Instinct, the Gaerne SG-12, Sidi Atojo, and the Leatt 5.5. We've got 5 riders out here today that all do different types of riding, different skill levels. And what we're gonna do is go ride in these. We're out here at OCA MX Club today in Ogden, Utah. And we're gonna ride in all the different boots back to back to back. And as we go through, we're gonna write down our thoughts and comments, our first impressions, what we feel while we're riding. And we're actually gonna rank these boots in different categories when we're all done riding in them. Now, let's introduce our riders and tell you who we got out here today. First up, we have Kobe. Kobe's actually an editor at Rocky Mountain. He's probably the most well-rounded rider that we have out here. He's about 6 feet 3 inches tall. He's got a long, skinny foot, so hopefully you can relate to him. But Kobe's an A-class works rider. He rips on a track. He wants to do ISDE, so he's gonna be out here. Next up, we've got the big guy. We've got Chancellor. Chance also works at Rocky Mountain. You've probably seen him in some videos. Chance, he's more of a trail, hard enduro type rider. You're not gonna see him on the track very often, but he's gonna help relate to you bigger riders out there and give some good feedback. Next up, we have Jace. Jace is gonna be our A-level pro rider. He races mostly works or mostly motocross. He also does some works racing, but he's been to pro nationals, pro level at Loretta's. He's gonna be out here ripping. And then we've got Wes. Wes is a guy you've probably seen in some videos. Wes is that weekend warrior. He's an intermediate rider, and as long as he's on 2 wheels, it doesn't matter what terrain he's riding, he's gonna have a good time. He's a really well-rounded rider. And last but not least, you've got yours truly. I'm gonna be the over 30 intermediate vet rider, and as we go through and we do this today, we've actually got a scoring sheet, and we're gonna be ranking these boots 1 through 5 in a lot of different categories, and at the end of it, we're actually gonna see what boot each rider would take home if he could only choose 1 out of the 5 that we're riding in today. Now we know that a lot of people are gonna be talking about durability. Since today is just a first impressions, we're not gonna be doing a durability test, but don't worry, we are gonna be doing long-term durability tests on all the boots in the future, so stay tuned for those. But without further ado, let's get out there, let's have a good time. If you have one of the boots that we're riding in, we would love to hear your feedback. Which boot do you have? What do you like? What do you dislike about it? Get that conversation started. So let's go ride and rip some laps. Those are right at the end, and these ones are stuck out right.
Uh-oh. Are you supposed to just
like easier with the booty in?
I was. We're gonna push too hard.
Oh really?
But no, they didn't hurt at all.
They have that steel they all have steel shanks, so that will help.
Barely on the throttle.
My legs back and forth to see like how like sticky I feel to the bike. I don't feel like I'm getting as much contact.
Yeah, you feel so instructive. They're awesome. I would just think about it for sure.
So we just wrapped up our day here at OCAMX. We've done a ton of riding. We've all got some pretty gnarly blisters, and we had a blast though. It was really cool to ride in all the premium boots all back to back because we had some interesting insight. Some of the riders rode in boots for the first time today, and yeah, it was a really cool experience. But what we did is, as we were going through, we were writing down notes, and we actually had that sheet I talked about where we ranked them, and we ranked categories: control, comfort, weight, construction, and support. And we'll tell you what falls within those categories as we go through. But we ranked them 1 through 5, 1 being our favorite for that category, 5 being our least favorite. And so we're just gonna go through each category, or each rider's gonna tell you how they rank the boots for that specific category, and then we'll give you a little bit of feedback as we go through. And of course, we are going to tell you which boot we would take home out of the lot at the end of this. So stick around for that. So the first category was control. And what this encompasses is braking, bike grip, shifting, peg feel, and just overall movement on the bike. And in this category, it was unanimous. We all ranked the Fox Instinct number 1. I've said that plenty of times in videos. It just has the best feel on the pegs. You know exactly where your feet are at. They use their Duratec material on the inside of the bike that has really, really good grip. And you just have phenomenal braking and shifting, and it helps you get your feet in the right position on the foot pegs. At least that's how I felt. So that's how we unanimously named the Instinct. But the other boots, so ranking them in order, I had the Instinct number 1, the Alpinestars Tech 10-2, the Sidi Atojo 3, Gaerne SG-12 5, and the Leatt GPX 5.5 I had in 4th. The Gaerne, for me, the sole is just really stiff, and there's a lot of great things about that boot, but that is one thing that I feel that it doesn't do the best. And the Tech 10, surprisingly, with the inner booty, isn't far off from the Instinct, but that's how I ranked them. So, Chancellor, what'd you rank?
Had them a little bit different. Of course, Instinct was number 1. I had the Sidi number 2. The Leatt number 3, SG-12 number 4, and the Tech 10 number 5.
Number 5 for the Tech 10?
I know,
What?
yeah.
Crazy.
I had a hard time feeling where I was with those boots. So,
I don't understand that.
tell me about it.
All right, Jace?
So yeah, I also had Fox Instinct number 1. I had the Alpinestars Tech 10 number 2, the Sidi Atojo number 3, Gaerne SG-12 number 4, and the Leatt GPX 5.5 in number 5. For the Leatts, I just thought that the sole was a little too hard, so it was hard for me to feel where my footing was on the bike, and my foot kept slipping off here and there. So.
Interesting. All right, Kobe?
Okay, so obviously Fox Instinct number 1, like these guys have said, that boot, it was my first time riding in it. I felt so precise, very minimal mistakes as far as shifting and braking. I just knew exactly where I was. Super impressed with that boot. Yeah, it blew me away. Next up, I actually had the Tech 10s number 2, and that was also a big surprise. On the exterior, the boot looks kind of bulky to me, and wearing a bootie, it's not the boot that you would expect to have a whole lot of feel. But what's the technology? What do they do on,
They have
on
a
the sole?
relief cut in the sole. So like a relief cut just to get more flex out of the bottom of the sole.
Okay. Well, that really comes into effect. You can feel it. Yeah, compared to the Atojo SG-12 GPX, that thing was a close second for me. I'm talking about the Tech 10 to the Instinct. So after that, I had the Atojo, just going down the line. The Atojo in 3rd, SG-12 in 4th, GPX 5.5 in 5th. And like Jace mentioned, yeah, I just felt like I was kind of slipping all over the pegs. Never struggled with that in any of the other boots. But yeah, the Instinct Tech 10 blew me away. Super cool.
All right. I have the same exact ranking and actually opinion of Kobe. So the Fox Instinct is just, it's crazy. It feels like a tennis shoe. You could seriously feel a pin underneath your foot with this thing. It's wild how much peg feel it has. I knew about the relief cut with the Tech 10 because I currently ride in these boots, and so I already knew that you'd have good peg feel, but it is surprising considering how beefy that boot is. And then same for the rest of the ranking. So Atojo is 3rd for me, SG-12 is 4th, and GPX 5.5 is 5th.
Next category.
Moving on to comfort. So the Tech 10 won comfort, and what that includes is fit, stiffness, overall comfort, entry and exit of boots, any pinch points or pieces that bug you, that might be a little bit more specific to each rider. But so yeah, like I said, Tech 10 won that one, and for me, that boot just feels like you're putting your feet into clouds. It's so nice. I love it. How the rest rank out for me is the SG-12 is second. I love, love, love the ankle support of the SG-12. It's super comfortable and just makes you feel, it's super snug, and so you don't get any float or just vagueness in the boot. But it's comfortable being snug like that. So that's one of the standouts for me. Third in that category is the Atojo, fourth is the Instinct, and fifth is GPX 5.5.
Yeah, as far as comfort, so I don't know if we're supposed to mention what boots we originally rode in, but I have a pair of Crossfire 3s. I've ridden in Sidi Crossfire 3s for the past 4 years. So for number one on comfort, I actually put down the Atojo. I just felt right at home. I don't know if my past boots have kind of dictated my vote there, but I did second that with the Tech 10. Yeah, that boot's, it's comfy. That booty, it's super snug. Yeah, very minimal heel float. And speaking of heel float, I would say the SG-12 has to top that for me. But it had a bit of a downside. The SG-12 was one of the only boots that actually kind of bugged me a little bit after having them on for a long period of time. Yes, my heel was sucked in and wasn't moving anywhere, but it actually kind of got sore after having it in there for too long.
It was that and not the footbed, though? That's interesting. The footbed in that is pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of the rest of the boot. The front of the boot felt great. This is the SG-12. Yeah, that heel wasn't moving anywhere, but it got a little sore after a bit. And then lastly, I had the GPX 5.5. I've had actually 2 pairs of them. I've had a pair for about a year, and then I was curious with a brand new pair if I'd have the same feeling. And there's just a little pinch point that I get above my ankle, and yeah, it just after a long, even just a 20-minute moto, not even that long, it started to bug me a little bit. But yeah, I guess I'll hand it off.
All right, so for me, same as these guys, Alpinestars Tech 10 took the cake just because there's so much padding with the inner ankle brace that you have, just really comfortable boot. I had the Fox Instinct in number 2. The Gaerne SG-12 was number 3 for me. Like they said, I love the padding around the ankle. Only thing that I noticed with the SG-12 that could be better is the insole is just not very thick. There's just not a lot of padding there, and so it just feels like you're walking on a really hard surface. So that to me was the only knock. And then I had the Atojo. The Atojo to me is a narrow boot. I just get a couple pinch points, and I think just because my foot's too wide. And then lastly was the GPX 5.5. I'm telling you right now, these guys are not far off. For their first premium boot, they did a heck of a job. And when you first slide the boot on, it feels really good. We all said that. The issue that a lot of us had is that when you buckle it up, there's a couple pinch points on the outside, just kind of right above your ankle bone or right on it. And for me, it was kind of hurting me after just even 15 minutes of riding. So if they got rid of that, they would have a super comfortable boot for me.
Comfort. I had Alpinestars Tech 10s as my number 1. Just like everyone else, super comfortable. It hugged my feet, ankles, everywhere, just right. SG-12, number 2. Atojo's number 3. Instinct's number 4, and then the Leatt's number 5. The Leatt's, the one thing that bugged me, that put it in number 5 for me, was there's no inner pivot. So when I do start to pivot, it starts to bite my ankle a little bit. So that's the only reason. If they had an inner pivot, that would probably solve that issue.
And the Instinct number 4, though?
Instinct number 4.
What was it doing there?
Just it only hugged parts of my feet and ankles. What it did hug, it was comfortable.
Okay.
Just it wasn't complete.
All
right. So for comfort, I have the Fox Instincts for number 1. I just thought it was super comfortable. That it hugged all around my foot. The padding's super soft. I had Gaerne SG-12 for number 2. The Sidi Atojo in number 3, and Alpinestars Tech 10 number 4. The reason I put it number 4 is I don't like the booty. It kind of it just makes my feet really hot, and it's just super uncomfortable for me. And then there is some pinch points on the top of my foot that were kind of bothering me. And then I had the Leatt GPX 5.5 in 5th. And like Chase said, it felt super good initially putting it on, but once you buckle up, had a few pinch points that were pretty uncomfortable.
I want to know. I want to note that the Tech 10s, yes, they are comfortable, but they take some practice to get on. I struggled for probably 10 minutes. These guys were all waiting for me, to get out on the track because I just couldn't get my boots on. But there's some technique. Once you got that down, they're solid.
Put the booty in the boot first.
Okay. Yes, I do have to agree with that.
So the next category is weight, and this one is pretty straightforward. This is just how much the boots actually weigh, all in the same size. So I weighed them before we rode today, all in a size 9, and then we actually didn't say the weights to the riders. We let everyone ride in them and then write down which ones they felt were the lightest. So the winner was actually the Sidi Atojo. Most riders had Sidis and then the Instincts, except for Jace over here. Jace, you have some explaining to do because you put the Instinct as number 5.
Yeah, it just, maybe because it's just a little bulky, it just felt heavy on the bike. I couldn't really move around as much as all the other boots, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe it had too much grip.
Too much grip. I know they weighed in different. I don't know. The heavy spots are in different places. Like the Fox, the heel feels like it's pretty heavy. The SG-12s, that bottom is so dang heavy. The tops feel light. It's just the bottoms, and then I just gets the weight feels different in different spots.
All right. Yeah, so most of us ranked either the SG-12 or the 5.5 in either 4th or 5th. They really just are the 2 heaviest boots. Even on the scale, the SG-12 is actually the heaviest, and then the Leatt does come in 4th. So, and you do feel that. Would you guys agree? Like going from, say, an Atojo to an SG-12, like you'll notice that weight difference. So it was something that, we're glad we did, except for Jace over here, who ranked the Instinct number 5.
So I rode the Instincts. I rode the Instincts first, and then back to back went to the SG-12. So yeah, I felt it.
Okay. All right, next category, construction. And what this covers is just the buckles, the materials, how the buckles close, hinges, special features, and any new technology. And a lot of it too is just how well built does the boot feel when you have it in your hands. So the winner of this category, not a shocker, is the SG-12. I think anyone will tell you right now that if you want a boot that is probably going to last the longest of all the boots up here, it's an SG-12. And if you read rider reviews, that's pretty common. So I'll go through and show you how I ranked them. The Fox Instinct, I have number 5. The Instincts, just holding them, like they have the plastic buckles, and just when you compare them across the board, and again, we're kind of splitting hairs here, they really just, and I think a lot of it has to do with how much flex they have right out of the box. They just don't feel like they're going to be as durable as the other boots in the lineup, but that's kind of a trade-off because you're getting so much feel and flexibility right out of the box. But I had the Instinct there. The Alpinestars I had ranked number 2. The Sidi Atojo was 3. The boot, obviously, SG-12 1. And then I had the GPX 5.5 and 4. Kobe?
I'm right there with Chase. I think, yeah, we marked those down the exact same. Yeah, I have to agree with the Instincts. They're sweet right out of the box, but I'd be curious to see how they hold up. I guess you're the only one that has experience out of all of us as far as how much they hold up. It'd be great, but how much flex they have, especially forward. I was like, I don't know how that's going to last. That was my main point for putting them in 5th, but yeah. What do you got, Wes?
I actually ranked all my boots the same as you and Chase. So a few things. So this is such a massive category. There's so many things that we were trying to take into consideration with this. But just a few points that stood out to me is buckles. They've kind of already been mentioned, but so the buckles with the Instinct, I just don't love. They're kind of sharp and short and not my favorite to use. My next least favorite buckle is the Sidi buckle. They're kind of the same shape and stuff, but they're a little bit easier to use. And then you can just feel with the Tech 10s, they're super quality. I mean, they're high quality. They're going to last forever. It's a bomb-proof boot, just like the SG-12. And you can feel that when you put the boots on. Like they've mentioned, the just flex and stuff you get right out of the box compared to, knowing that the boot is going to take some breaking in. to get really comfortable in it, that makes a difference. So, yeah, that's how mine ranked.
Chancellor, you've been in SG-12s for a while, right?
Yes. I've been an SG-12 fanboy for a while now.
And side note, Chancellor is probably the hardest on any riding gear I've ever seen. If you want something to be like durability tested, give it to this guy.
I love other boots, but I had to go to the SG-12s just because of the overall construction of them. They've lasted the longest out of any boot I've ever owned. Second, I had Alpinestars Tech 10s. Great boot. Love the buckles. A lot better than a couple years ago. Needed a hammer to close them, but these new ones, they're awesome. Then the Sidis. Again, like Wes said, buckles aren't my favorite, but they do. Then the Instincts, and then I went to the...
They do what?
They just do.
They do?
They work.
Okay.
Oh, they do.
They do. Fox Instincts number 4 actually, and then the Leatt's number 5. There's just a few things on there that I just didn't quite like. There's some of the angles were wrong on some of the things. The gator up top for me, I've got bigger calves, maybe not as big as Chase's.
We're close.
Close, but this gator for me, it was like cutting off circulation, even with the top buckle undone. So like certain things were just, I don't know if they were done quite right, but for a first-time boot, like a top-of-the-line boot,
One thing I do want to
I was impressed.
Can I mention one thing about the Leatts?
No, yes.
Give me that talk stick.
All right, I feel bad because it's been a little bit doggy on the Leatt. But one thing I really do love that they've done is the slide lock cuff. It's got one-way Velcro, and so when you close it, it doesn't bind. And I know Chase is just like me. We like our boots tight, so as tight as we can get those things sucked down. And so the Leatt, when you close it, it comes together and doesn't bunch up. And I love that. I wish all the boots would do that.
Jace?
So I actually had the CDs number 1 because it was hard for me because as of right now, like the Gaernes feel a little bit more durable, but for the CDs you can pretty much replace like every part, right? So
A few parts are replaceable. The sole and then the piece that goes around the outside of the ankle is
I'd
replaceable.
say, I mean, compared to the other boots, they still have the most replaceable parts.
So that's why I ranked CD number 1. I had the Gaernes number 2, and then I had the Leatts number 3. They seem pretty durable. And then Alpinestars 4, and then Fox Instincts number 5.
All right, and that is one quick thing I do want to say. So, Kobe, you've been riding in the Crossfire 3 SRS, and what's nice you do like so much about the sole being replaceable is you can do it from your house, but you did mention how you don't get as much life out of those soles as other boots that you've ridden in, right?
Yeah. So I've always struggled with soles, especially my left sole, I should say. This sounds weird, but my left boot sole I've struggled with, and I think that I have a big foot. 12.5 I think is my actual size, and so the way I position on the bike and on the pegs is a little off from somebody who's wearing an 8 or a 9, I think. And I think I have to, especially that being my shifting side, I just have to adjust so much more, and so it just inevitably wears the soles out. So that is a huge plus, and I'm glad that they kept that on the Atojo, and that is one of the reasons that, besides being indestructible with the SG-12s, I did put the Atojos in second as far as construction for that reason.
All right, so the last category is a big one. This is support. This is what a lot of riders are looking for in a boot, and this encompasses protection, ankle support, kind of how well does your ankle sit sucked into the boot when you put it on, articulation limiters, like are there any extension stops on the boot, how much does the boot want to flex if you have a big impact, and just shim protection, how much hard plastic. So the Tech 10 won this category, and it was kind of a close call between it and the SG-12, but with the Tech 10, they have like their flexion control insert in the front, which we're all going to tell you right now that out of the box, the Tech 10 is by far the stiffest. And honestly, for a first day riding for me, the stiffness was a negative because I felt like it was one of the harder boots to get my shifts in, but you get so much support. So here's how they went in order of support. So I had the Tech 10 as number 1. I had the SG-12 number 2. I actually had the Leatts in 3rd, because they're a pretty stiff boot, but they felt supportive, and they're going to break in a little bit. And then I had the Atajos in fourth because they are second to the Instinct on my book for flexibility out of the box. And then I had the Instinct number 5. And it doesn't quite tell the story because the Instinct, when we all put it on, they'll tell you it hugs the ankle so well. Like you get no heel flow and you feel like your ankle is really secure. The big knock on it, though, for me is that there's so much flexibility that compared to, say, an SG-12 or a Tech 10, if I'm hitting a big jump and I'm going to OJ or maybe K something, that's kind of in the back of my mind a little bit that I'm not going to have as much support for just those big impacts with the Instincts. So, Chancellor, how'd you do it?
SG-12s for support I put for number 1. They are a little stiff. They do require some braking. But with that being in the back of my mind, it's great support. I like the stops. And Tech 10s took home number 2. Super stiff, but they'll break in hopefully. But I do like the support of the ankle and the booty I could actually feel. Then I went to the Sidis. Being a lighter boot, I was actually surprised with how well it supported my ankles and feet. That was the first boot I hopped into, and I felt super comfortable casing a jump. I'm not going to over jump a jump. It's always casing in my case.
I saw that a couple times today.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you gotta go for it.
Yeah, maybe. Then I went to the Leatt number 4 and Fox Instinct number 5.
Okay. Jace?
I had the CDs number 1. I feel like maybe it's because my feet are a little smaller, but it really holds my ankles in, and I like it. And I had the Alpinestars number 2. They're super stiff. And then Gaerne number 3, Leatt number 4, and then the Fox Instincts number 5.
So there you have it. Those are the 5 categories. So that's how we ranked them.
Whoa. We got forgotten about. Pass the mic.
Oh, you guys haven't gone yet?
They don't need
All right,
it.
so pass it back to me like you just finished up.
Just keep going.
They don't need it.
This is gonna stay in,
Just
by the
keep
way.
going.
Oh, we're gonna. Oh,
They
you
don't
make
need
me
it.
look like an idiot. All right.
I got something
Next
to say
up.
though. So
No, you don't.
hopefully you remember it because I've got a lot. I'm just kidding. Yeah, like everybody else, Tech 10 as far as support took the win. Yeah, it's just the technology in the boot. Everything works the way I think that they intended it for. It's super stiff, yes, but that confidence transfers over to your riding. I think it did for me at least.
And they will break in. Like
Yes.
Tech 10's gonna break in, but like initial impressions, it's like it's stiff.
Yeah, definitely stiff, and so was the SG-12. That was second on my list as far as support. Yeah, like I mentioned with the Tech 10s, I think that transfers over to your riding, just being like, this thing can handle just about any impact, and I really enjoyed that. Something with the Atajos, I had them in third, that I didn't mention earlier was actually, I was really impressed with how much protection you get with this shin plate. I was really worried because like I mentioned, I've only had Crossfire 3s for the past 4 years. And a big element or reason for that is that they are super protective. And I thought, yeah, racing off-road, sticks, stones, whatever is coming at me, I wanted that confidence in my boot.
A pound lighter.
Yep, lighter boot. So I was really impressed with the CDs. I knew I'd be comfortable in them, but having this shin plate was way more protective than I thought it was going to be. So huge plus. Loved that boot. Yeah, I guess I'll let Wes get some in.
Thanks, Kobe.
It was rough.
Do we have space left here?
Is there enough on the card?
Okay, so a few things that stood out to me. I ranked them the same as I think Chase and Kobe, at least. Alpinestars Tech 10 is first. SG-12 is second. Atajo is third. Leatt is fourth, and Fox Instinct is fifth for me. So a few things I want to talk about with that. The Alpinestars Tech 10s. I'm spacing what this little limiter is now.
It's the flexion control insert, I believe.
But something that I've noticed with that is I feel like for me it's an advantage because you flex forward and you're completely stopped more than I think any other boot in the lineup today. And I feel like that takes stress and like basically fatigue from my thighs. I feel like it just, when you're racing off-road or just longer races like that, it saves you energy, I think. So that's a huge advantage with the Tech 10. Yeah, they're super stiff, but I mean, there's a reason for it, I guess. They're such a popular boot. A couple of the things that I wanted to mention with the SG-12, again, it's probably the next most supportive, but I OJ'd the finish line jump today and was was glad I had those on, because I was scared and I had some time to think about that while I was in the air. But yeah, so support, and Atojo is another notable one. It's super flexible out of the, you have a lot of articulation out of the box, which I really love, but I don't feel like with that you sacrifice any of the support or protection with that boot. And so those 3 boots for me are, I could take any of those boots and feel okay about going out and racing, or when you do dumb things like OJ and the finish line jump, you need that extra support, I feel like. So for me, those 3 boots are really the standouts of this category.
Interesting. All right, so that's it. That's how we all ranked the boots in those categories, and you saw the overall winner for each one. Now the important part. Which one of these boots would we all choose out of the 5, and which one would we want to go ride in today? And what's kind of interesting about this is that the boots, a lot of us, the boot that we would take home today didn't actually get the lowest score, which is interesting, because for me, I'll start, out of all 5, I would go with the Instinct, because I love the foot peg feel, just the controls that we've all talked about. For me, I love that. It's comfortable. It feels super lightweight. Yes, it doesn't have, we all ranked it pretty low as far as support goes. But I will give up a little bit of that like supportive feel. It does hug the ankle well, but I will sacrifice a little bit of that supportive feel to have really good feel on the controls. That's just something that I'm really particular about with a boot. So that would be mine. I would take home the Fox Instinct, and I'd say probably the Tech 10 would probably be a close second for me. Chancellor?
If I could take one home right now, probably SG-12. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of control and weight. Yeah. Willing to sacrifice a little bit of control and weight for the good support, the comfort, and also just indestructible.
This guy rides a lot of gnarly
Yeah.
stuff. He needs
So, yeah. Close second would be the Tahoe, actually. I was pleasantly surprised today with how it felt.
I would say the Atojo, for most of us, was probably the biggest surprise for a boot. Would you agree?
Yeah, it did well with everything. There was nothing it lacked. It was up there fighting for the top spot in like every category. It was nice.
I would take home the Sidi Atojo. I love that boot. It's super light, and I tried to transfer out on the track today and cased it so bad and didn't even feel a thing. So it was pretty. So yeah.
What would be maybe your second place boot?
The Gaerne SG-12s for sure. It's a close one. It's hard to choose.
It's funny because we were all like really struggling to pick our favorite boot at the end of this. Wes had 3 and he just sat there and stared at it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen to that guy. If you're fast, you should follow Jace's opinion, because he's fast.
I do want to note he turned around, cleared the transfer. I was his witness, so it was sweet.
I missed it both times.
Yeah, you did.
All right.
Okay, for me, as far as scoring goes, Tech 10 took the cake. I think the boot's just been perfected over time. It's super well rounded in every single category. So as far as scoring, it won for me. But would I take it home? Probably not. I think I would stick with CD and take home some Atajos. I really liked them. Like I rambled on about with the shin plate, I was super impressed with how much protection that actually provides. And then the technology for anti-hyperextension, what would you call that? Is that it?
You got it.
Yeah, it surprised me. It's super simple, but it works.
Are you talking about going forward?
Yep,
That's
forward.
hyperflexion.
Oh, hyperflexion,
Yeah.
hyperextension, both directions actually. Yeah, the technology on the boot is super simple, but it performs super well while still allowing a lot of flex, and then the weight is a huge thing for me.
Well, those are 8 ounces lighter, or a lot lighter than your
Then the Crossfire 3, yep.
Did you notice that today?
They actually felt about the same.
Really?
I mean, if I put them on side by side, I think I'd notice
Yeah,
it,
you'd have
but
to ride
it
both.
wasn't like, oh yeah, these are significantly lighter. But for me, I'm taking CDs home.
I wish my feet were as narrow as Kobe's. Because I love the Sidis. This is actually the first time that I've actually ridden in a pair of Sidis because my feet are not narrow. They're wide, and Sidis are always known for being narrow. But yeah, I had a really tough decision today. The Sidi Atojo, the SG-12, and the Tech 10 were all my favorites at one point in the day. But taking everything into consideration, the type of riding that I do and just the fact that I don't want to buy boots every single year, I'm taking the Tech 10s home. Because once they break in, they're going to be my favorite. Gosh dang it. That was a tough one, though, because, like I said, the Atajos, they're wide enough that I can stand it, and they're pretty comfortable. The SG-12s, gosh dang, that's a good boot. I love it. I love it. And I'm super surprised how much I don't notice the lack of peg feel. But anyway, Tech 10 for me.
Interesting.
I've got something for Wes. What about if it was based on looks? Because Chancellor pulled these out of the box today, and holy cow, I just gotta say.
I'll be honest, the SG-12 has always been my favorite looking boot across the board. I think they just look sick with all different riding gears. Anyone disagree?
No, it's good.
All right. So there you have it. That is our ultimate premium boot shootout. And that was our best effort to give you guys just true, honest feedback. And hopefully you can kind of take what we've talked about today and digest it. And maybe if there's a rider today that you kind of gel with, maybe it's Chancellor, you do the same type of riding that you're doing, more of a trails guy, or maybe you're a works racer like Kobe, or you just do all types of riding like Wes, or whatever it is. Hopefully you can kind of use this information and it'll help you decide which pair of these might be the best option for you. I do want to point out that we have a blog article. If you guys want to see our score sheet so you can revisit exactly how we ranked all the boots, and we also will put some notes in there, some of the things that we wrote down during the day. Click on the link in the description below to go see that. That's going to have some really cool information that we didn't have time for in this video to kind of keep it as short as we could. And also, last thing, this is something we talk about a lot, but we do have a fit guarantee at Rocky Mountain. So no matter which one of these boots, if you bought it, if you do get it, and if you're not happy with how it fits, you can send it back to us in brand new, unused condition, and you can exchange it for the same boot in a different size or a completely different one. And we just do that to make sure you get the size and the fit that you're going to be happiest with. But thank you so much for watching. If you guys like this boot shootout, we have all our other premium buyer's guides for all different categories. So make sure to get subscribed to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel, hit that notification bell. And last thing, thank you so much to the guys that suffered with us on this 100-degree day in the middle of summertime. We had a blast, and thank you for watching.